My fellow Americans, tonight I am speaking to you because there is a growing humanitarian and security crisis at our southern border. Every day, Customs and Border Patrol agents encounter thousands of illegal immigrants trying to enter our country. We are out of space to hold them, and we have no way to promptly return them back home to their country. America proudly welcomes millions of lawful immigrants who enrich our society and contribute to our nation. But all Americans are hurt by uncontrolled illegal migration.
All right, that was the president last night in his address on our crisis on the southern border. Joining us now is Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen is with us. Madam Secretary, good to see you. You were in the Situation Room today. Yes. Not a very long meeting, not a productive meeting. Give us your thoughts.
As I said in the snow just after the meeting, I just am thoroughly disappointed. This is a severe humanitarian and security crisis. The president is taking leadership. He is taking decisive action, and Congress continues to refuse to act. He's made it very clear what the crisis is, what we need to do. They have no alternative. They refuse to engage. And it's very, very disappointing. It's disappointing on behalf of the 240,000 men and women who are trying to secure this country, but it's also disappointing as an American.
You know, Madam Secretary, there's some simple facts here that, they're saying their party line is this is a manufactured crisis. But we do know this. We do know 90% of our heroin comes from the southern border and that we have about 300 deaths per week. We do know that in the last 2 weeks we lost Police Officer Singh. And he has a 5-month-old little boy. We'll never know his father. We do know Pierce Cochran, his parents were on this show earlier in the week. We do know their 22-year-old son killed by an illegal immigrant. Drug trafficking, human trafficking, we have drug deaths, we have other deaths, violence, cartels, gangs. What is your response when they say it's manufactured, when these are real people, real lives, life and death, and they just ignore it?
Yeah, I mean, it's offensive. It's disrespectful. I can't imagine being one of these victims' families and listening to an elected member of Congress claim that their pain and their suffering is manufactured. It's offensive, is what it is. But it's also unprofessional.
For some people in the media, it's been like a numbers game. We do know Americans die. We do know, I'd argue probably 98% of people that want to come here want hope, opportunity, liberty, freedom, and all the things we may even take for granted ourselves. But it's the 2% I worry about that are part of the gangs, the drug cartels, the 2% maybe you have talked about, but you can't give numbers. There are instances that you can confirm that you know of terrorists that have tried to cross our southern border, and we've apprehended them.
Yes, Sean, and we've talked about the thousands of terror watch list individuals who traveled through our hemisphere last year. To pretend there's not a danger on an unsecure border, on an open border, is just ridiculous. It belies common sense. But it's not just the security crisis that the president and the vice president continue to draw the American public's attention to. It's a humanitarian crisis. We have Doctors Without Borders saying 1 in 3 women on this journey are raped. 7 out of 10 of these migrants are victims of violence. This is a humanitarian crisis that is caused by the pull of the loopholes in our law, by our lack of resources, and by the refusal of Democrats to act.
What do you make and how do you explain that Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, just a few years ago, 2013, they were willing to allocate $48 billion for border security as part of a Gang of 8 plan. And then they're making the point that it's not needed anymore or it's manufactured. But yet, if you look at the one sector in Arizona, the Yuma border sector, it was one of the worst in the country. And they went from 5 miles of border fencing to 63 miles. And they saw a reduction of 95% in apprehensions and people being able to cross into the country illegally. Doesn't that prove the point in that one county that it works? Walls work,
Sean,
barriers work?
Sean, walls work. I mean, we can't say it enough. The facts are incontrovertible. Anywhere that we have built wall, illegal migration has dropped between 90 and 95%. They know that. Those are the facts. They've been to the border themselves. They claim that they've talked to our Border Patrol agents. They claim they're in favor of border security. What the president continues to make clear is this is not an either, this is not an or situation, this is an and. We need security at our ports of entry, and we need security between the ports of entry.
You know, there is politics being played here, though, Madam Secretary, because it was a crisis when they could bludgeon the president politically and say the kids were being separated from their parents, which had happened in the two previous administrations, and this president fixed it. Or when they could say, after our border agents were being pelted with rocks and bottles, they could say, oh, our Border Patrol and ICE were tear-gassing children. So it seemed to be a crisis when they could politicize it. But Americans are dying in big numbers because of that small percentage of the criminal element. Drugs are coming in every day. And what do you say when lives are at stake and people are playing politics? It's clear it's politics.
I hate that I agree with you on this point, Sean, but I do. It is politics. And what I think that I would say in response is the president and the vice president continue to take leadership. They continue to try to solve this crisis. They continue to describe it for what it is. They're doing it with compassion. I think you saw a president last night that was very serious, that was taking a leadership role. He was showing compassion, and very importantly, he was making it clear that he continues to listen to the men and women who are on the front line, who protect this country every day, often at danger to their own lives. That's what the president's doing. I don't know what the Democrats are doing, because the president has made offers. The president has explained to them what needs to be done. They have come up with no solutions on their own, but they continue to claim, as you said, that this is a manufactured crisis. Nothing could be further from the truth.
All right, Secretary Nielsen, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you always.